In the gritty underbelly of 1970s New York City, one name struck fear into the hearts of both servants of the law and rival criminals alike: Frank Lucas. But who was the man behind the legend? The story of the Real American Gangster is a tale of ambition, creativity, and recklessness in the dangerous world of drug trafficking. His influence spread from Harlem to Southeast Asia, making a big mark in criminal history. But who was he really? We uncover his story, revealing parts of his life that aren't often talked about, from risky moves to close calls, and we see a guy who wasn't scared of danger. Entry of Lucas into the world of crime. In the 1940s, Lucas moved to Harlem in New York City as a young man. Although Harlem was thriving in a culturally diverse community, it was also a hub for crime. Lucas started his career in the criminal underworld in this setting. He got his start as a side hustler, engaging in small-time crimes and low-level narcotics dealing. When Lucas started hanging out with legendary drug king Ellsworth "Bumpy" Johnson, a figure with considerable clout in Harlem's criminal underworld, his life underwent a huge change. Lucas saw his chance to start his drug empire after Johnson passed away in 1968. Frank Lucas, the American Gangster. Frank Lucas' drug enterprise sprang out of the turmoil of the Vietnam War. He recognized a chance to profit from the heroin trade, which was thriving as a result of rampant drug use among American troops stationed in Southeast Asia. Lucas discovered he could get high-quality heroin from the Golden Triangle area, which included Thailand, Burma, now Myanmar, and Laos. Before we go any further, I have an offer for you. I need you to subscribe to Crime Cartel, and I will provide you with seamless, crime-rich documentaries every week. Hit that red button if you're in. Now, let's move on. Some dangerous smuggling operations. Lucas came up with an inventive way to ship heroin into the United States. He arranged for the medicines to be smuggled in the coffins of American troops who had died. He was able to dodge examinations at customs checkpoints and airports because of his inner genius. It was a deliberate and cruel method of exploiting the military's deficient security systems, but it succeeded. His part in quality control, blue magic. Frank Lucas' dedication to creating a good product was a significant aspect of his success. He was adamant about the quality and strength of the heroin he brought in. This premium heroin was dubbed Blue Magic, and it quickly earned a reputation for being exceedingly pure. It was believed to be 98 to 100% pure, considerably outperforming other street narcotics in terms of purity. Market dominance. With Blue Magic circulating throughout New York City, Lucas essentially controlled a sizable share of the heroin market. His product was not only effective, but also reasonably priced. And what happens when you combine a superior product with a lower price? Ka-ching! As a result, he was able to undercut competing drug traffickers and create a dominating position in the drug trade. Frank Lucas was well known for his ability to corrupt police enforcement and public authorities. He reportedly had ties to corrupt cops who safeguarded his enterprise and gave insider information about current investigations. This made it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to apprehend him. Crimes committed by Frank Lucas. Throughout his criminal career, Frank Lucas was engaged in a variety of illicit operations. Drug trafficking. Frank Lucas is likely most known for his drug trafficking participation. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, he ran a massive heroin trafficking network. His organization trafficked high-quality heroin, Blue Magic, from Southeast Asia, namely the Golden Triangle area, and distributed it on New York City streets. One of Lucas' more daring ways was to smuggle heroin into the United States by concealing it in the coffins of dead American troops returning from the Vietnam War. He was able to avoid law enforcement and customs inspections using this strategy. Corruption and bribery. Lucas reportedly had ties to corrupt police officers, allowing him to operate with relative impunity. He is suspected of paying off law enforcement officers to safeguard his narcotics enterprise and offer insider knowledge about pending investigations. Racketeering. In addition to drug trafficking, Lucas was engaged in racketeering in the form of extortion and unlawful gambling. These were part of his criminal portfolio and contributed to his illegal revenue. Money laundering. Lucas used money laundering to legitimize the revenues of his unlawful operations. To disguise the source of his riches, he invested in respectable enterprises such as real estate and nightclubs. conspiracy and organized crime. Lucas oversaw numerous parts of the drug trade and associated illegal operations as the leader of an organized criminal organization. This includes managing his drug empire's smuggling, manufacture, distribution, and security. Violence and intimidation. While Lucas was not renowned for extreme violence, he utilized intimidation methods to preserve his interests and retain control over his criminal operation on occasion. Lucas and his colleagues were often armed, and they held illicit guns as a form of protection and control inside the criminal underground. Why Frank Lucas is called the Real American Gangster? Frank Lucas is recognized as the Real American Gangster because his life story and criminal actions inspired the 2007 film American Gangster, which starred Denzel Washington. Ridley Scott's film exposed Lucas's narrative to a global audience and cemented his image as a significant player in American organized crime history. Here are some of the main reasons he got this nickname. Audacious drug empire. Frank Lucas' criminal empire was both audacious and unparalleled, notably his participation in the heroin trade and his innovative way of smuggling heroin into the coffins of murdered soldiers. This bold action drew a lot of attention and curiosity. Extreme purity. Lucas heroin, dubbed Blue Magic, was famous for its extraordinary purity, often reaching levels of 98 to 100%. This distinguished it from other illicit narcotics and established it as a household name. Cultural impact. The film American Gangster popularized Lucas's narrative, and Denzel Washington's depiction of him made him an iconic character in pop culture. The film showed the birth and collapse of Lucas' criminal enterprise, highlighting his character's daring and cruelty. Law enforcement cooperation. Frank Lucas' choice to assist law enforcement authorities, supplying vital information about corrupt police officers and competing drug traffickers, brought a layer of complexity to his narrative. It demonstrated his willingness to deviate from the stereotypical gangster. While Frank Lucas' illegal operations were unquestionably noteworthy, it was the combination of his ambitious drug empire, his portrayal in the film American Gangster, and his final collaboration with police that cemented his status as the Real American Gangster. The law got Lucas. Lucas received a sentence of 70 years in jail after being found guilty of narcotics trafficking in both federal and state courts. He spent just 15 years inside bars before being freed in 1991. The DEA and the NYPD scored a significant win with Lucas's arrest. One of the biggest cocaine busts in American history, it contributed to the breakup of one of the most potent drug trafficking networks in the nation. Life after coming from jail. Frank Lucas's life after prison was filled with possibilities and difficulties. After being released from jail in 1991, Lucas had trouble getting a job. Due to his criminal history, numerous businesses had him on their blacklist. He also struggled to get used to life outside of jail. Lucas, though, was adamant about changing his circumstances. He turned to become a motivational speaker, telling young people his tale to dissuade them from making the same errors he made. He also chronicled his time as a drug kingpin in a biography titled Blue Magic. Denzel Washington starred in the biggest Hollywood adaptation of Lucas's tale, American Gangster, which was released in 2007. The movie was a critical and financial hit, and it boosted Lucas's reputation as a motivational speaker. Lucas prioritized his family and his career as a motivational speaker in his later years. He also started speaking out in favor of jail reform. At the age of 88, he passed away in 2019. While Frank Lucas might be known as the Real Gangster, I think there's a bigger gangsta story you don't know about. During the 70s, North Korea robbed an entire country of its national pride. Click on the video on your screen to know more about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.